Medicare for all, in theory, sounds like a good idea, but is it really what this country wants right now? Considering the fact that hundreds of millions already rely on private insurance companies, enacting Medicare for all would erase those private insurance companies, and this would end up in the loss of hundreds of thousands of jobs across the country. And many people that do rely on private insurance companies uh, do not want Medicare for all and do not want to lose their benefits that they get out of their insurance company. It's a much smaller percentage of Americans that do require and need Medicare for all, but it's not fair to the rest of the Americans that have private insurance that they're fine with and they want and don't want to get rid of. Another thing to consider with enacting Medicare for all are the decreases in payments that doctors and physicians receive for surgeries and other care procedures. Recent study was done, and this shows that about doctors and physicians receive about 80% of what they normally would receive if they were relying on private insurance companies. Now, this would lead many more doctors to not want to be a doctor and to quit their jobs. We're already running out of physicians and doctors across the country, a physician shortage actually. Now, paying physicians and doctors less would only increase this shortage in America and just create extra pressure on the healthcare system as a whole. It's no secret that Medicare for all would cost trillions of dollars to pay for. And where would all this money come from? Well, this money would come in the form of taxes, and specifically incomes over 250,000 in the top 1%. Now, I fully agree that to get this money, we should be taxing the rich and taking some of their money. But this is something people have been saying for hundreds of years. The argument to tax the rich has been said ever since our founding fathers have been around, that we should tax the rich, and this hasn't happened. So that doesn't lead me to believe that this is going to be the first time where we will be able to tax the rich and get something out of it. This will end up for the middle class paying the majority of it instead of taxing the rich. Now, because of these taxes, a large portion of US citizens would actually be worse off financially because in order to fund something like this, it would take about a 21.2% increase on all wage and salary income for taxes. Now, previously stated, it would cost around 20 to 30 trillion dollars in order to implement Medicare for all into our new healthcare system. So this would increase the total amount of taxes up to 36.5% for most workers. Now, this would in turn lead to a decrease in annual household disposable income of roughly 11%. And the among households with employer-sponsored health benefits, 87.2% would be worse off financially because of this. Medicare for all fundamentally sounds like a good idea. However, there are just too many flaws that come with it. Implementing the single-payer healthcare system will have a negative impact on a large portion of our population. Many people are already set with their healthcare providers and are not looking for a change. With Medicare for all, everyone would fall under this healthcare system, and this is unfair to many Americans. It's also unfair to all of the private insurance workers that would end up jobless once private insurance agencies are no longer needed. Hundreds of thousands of jobs will be lost, which is also tens of millions of dollars in revenue. Medicare for all would fuel our physician shortage in America and increase the total stress put on our hospital system. Doctors and nurses would be financially supported from the government, but this only decreases the amount of money they receive per operation. Less pay for our doctors and nurses only decreases the incentive to become a part of the high-paying medical field. There are just too many downsides to this sort of healthcare system. It's deceiving to see other countries implement similar healthcare systems and see it work out. But the US is just too big. and too culturally different for something like this to work. I agree something needs to be done for those left out in this country, but I don't think Medicare for all is the way to go.